I follow that same basic pattern that we've been working with throughout my body paragraphs. So this is body paragraph 2. Signal words, right? That's in pink. You see them throughout. Quotes from the poem. That's yellow. Research in orange. Now here I have some research, but this is a paraphrase. What's the difference between a paraphrase and a direct quote? A direct quote is when you copy word for word. And remember, when we do that, we have to use the quotation marks. We have to have a signal phrase. But a paraphrase also has to be cited. So there's the author. Why is there no page number? Because it was an electronic source. What's going on with this one? Here I have my page number. Where's the author? Where's the author? Where's the author? I named the author at the beginning, just to kind of break things up. Then the third body paragraph, there we go. Same pattern, same pattern. Now, you'll remember from the assignment sheet, each body paragraph must have quotes from the poem as well as utilize research. And this third body paragraph is an example of the minimum, right? You can see that compared to the rest, I did that on purpose as an illustration. There's really not much research in there, just 2 bits, one kind of spin. So that'd be an example of minimum. Before we take a look at the conclusion, let me point out something that may be overlooking, hopefully not. Remember the color coding, yellow from the poem, orange from research, right? But you'll notice the vast majority of my paper comes from me. It comes from me. And this is so important to do, because when you sit down to do your pre-writing, you want to go in there and be sure to jot down all those ideas that you have, because that's going to be the foundation. The quotes from the poem and the paraphrases and direct quotes from your research, that's just support to strengthen your discussion. You want to be sure that the vast majority of this paper is from you. If you have, right, if you were to go through and color code your paper like this, and you see that the whole thing is highlighted, ooh, that's not good, because you're leaving out the most important thing, which is you. So please remember those 3 body paragraphs. Each one should have quotes from the poem as well as utilize research. Then it's time for us to say goodbye. Everybody's favorite paragraph. It's time for our conclusion. All right. So what's going to happen in our conclusion? It's time to wrap it up. When we wrap things up, what do? We want to summarize the whole paper really broadly. We want to restate the thesis, but don't copy paste it, right? Don't just copy paste it. And as well, please remember, when we're ending a paper, we don't want to open up a new can of worms. No new ideas. Don't do that. So again, 5 paragraphs, just like the paper we did just before this one, except this one has research. And then again, remember, page after that is the works cited page. You got these pretty hanging indents. Again, this is titled. Remember, the works cited page never count towards length. And now let's take a look at the last page of the handout, which deals with common errors. Please be on the lookout for comma splices because they can really kind of drop in because we have lots of different things coming into the paper. Quotes from the poem, research, right? Documentation, parenthetical citations, all this stuff going on. Plus, we're naturally going to have a lot of commas. So as we take a look at this example, Robert Johnson, writing in the Reference Guide to American Literature, recognizes this and ties it to the previous mentioned season of spring, which connotes the most important characteristics of the material world, life and resurrection. Thus, the poem ends with an image of life-giving force, proving the new bond between lovers will continue and succeed. So now, where's the comma splice? Well, remember, what is a comma splice? That's where we have a comma in between independent clauses. And we have a clue as to where we have the comma splice in this one. Here we have the word thus. You remember from English 101, hopefully, thus is a conjunctive adverb. What's on either side, right? Complete sentences, independent clauses. So this comma here is a comma splice. What would be a good idea to do here? And this also is the tip. What would be a good idea to do here? Well, we see this is really extended, really, really long, right? A good thing to do would be to just use the humble period, capitalize, and start a new sentence. So what is the tip? Please use that period, especially after quotes as well as citations. Go ahead and just boop. And that way you don't have this comma splice being created. And we can jump in here and we can take a look, right? There we go. After the quote, just what? Boom, period, ended. Period, ended. Use that period after you're going in and having the information from the poem as well as the research. Just end it. Okay, so since there's going to be a lot of stuff coming in from databases, right? Remember, databases have no page number. Do not use the page number from the printer. That's not it. And remember, when we have a direct quote, what do we have to have? We have to have a signal phrase. So these are all pretty close. There's all pretty close. Let's go in and read this first one. Feel like a template for the rest. Here, the image of a closed rose is like that of an opening hand between lovers. It releases into a flower not all at once, but slowly, petal by petal. This willful opening shows the relationship's start and growth, including sexually, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay, so there, what do we see? We have the citation from the line of poetry. We got that. That was pulled in. Whoops, here we have some research, but I don't see the author's name. That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. So what do we say about that? No. Okay, let's take a look at This next one. Ooh, now what do we see? The author's last name. Oh, that looks good, right? But let's check this one. Since this one looks good, let's kind of balance second off the third. Well, because you might say, hey, Mr. K, what does this have? This has the citation. But remember, what are we working with? A direct quote. When we have a direct quote, what do we have to use? Quotation marks. This one has them, but this one doesn't. Oh, so please remember, we have to document paraphrases, but we cannot confuse a paraphrase with a direct quote. Anytime we pull word for word from our research, excuse me, into the paper, we have to use those quotation marks. Then, please remember, excuse me, signal phrases we've got to have when we're using direct quotes. And how do we create a signal phrase? Right, we go in and we name the author. And what does that do? That leads the reader into that direct quote. And notice, since the author is named at the beginning of the sentence, the author is not named at the end. And why is there no page number? Because remember, there's no pages in cyberspace, and don't use those page numbers from the printer because those are false. All right, I know, again, there's lots of work that's going into this paper. How do I know that? I did it. I did it. You can do it too. And I really look forward to reading everybody's papers. If there's anything I can do to help, please feel free to let me know. Right? Always here to help. So until the next lecture, be well, do good work, and keep in touch.